Welcome back. As you can see, we're leaving St Mary's little harbour, making our way across a bit of Atlantic and back into the Bristol Channel. The forecast is to be a force 3 up the backside all the way back. It hasn't kicked in at the moment, so we seem to be motoring on quite a flat sea. Not just motoring on a flat sea as we depart, but I'm also an hour late kicking off. It's just far too easy to press a snooze button these days. The sea, for the Atlantic, looks about as smooth as it ever could be. But as relaxing as it is, I still have to watch out for shipping. Between the Scillys and Cornwall, or Land's End, there is a dual carriageway for ships. They call it a traffic separation scheme. It's those lilac stripes on the chart. Sailboats while sailing carry right of way against shipping, but when you come to a traffic separation scheme, there is rules. You have to cross it like a pedestrian crossing a road, and you are the giveaway vessel. Well, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm close. I'm just coming up to 7 stones on my port side here. These are the 7 stones, and this is a light ship that shows the shipping where it is. On the electronic chart you can see exactly the same thing as the paper chart, but with a forecast of where I'll be in 30 minutes. I plot my position regularly on paper while passing dodgy areas, so that if anything goes with my electronics, I'm still backed up. I'm going to travel inside the light ship just here, because I need to get a bit more north in my course before crossing the dual carriageway. The surface on the sea is now showing slight signs that the wind is about to appear, but it hasn't as yet. So I continue to motor up the pavement on the inside of the light ship, which you'll see just coming into view now. The light ship is otherwise known as a buoy to most people. It's a port hand buoy, but because the Atlantic is a big place, you have to use big items. It looks quite a bit mysterious with the sun silhouetted on it. Just look at the length of the fetch on those waves. It's got to be 300 yards between crests. There you go, just another big red can. This is a big ship coming down the dual carriageway, and this is me crossing the road at right angles. Those rings are 5-mile rings around my boat, so he's about 15 miles away, and I've got about 3.5 to get across the road. And there I am, I'm done, and he's only 8 miles away. Well, the signs of wind filling in on the water have gone away, and it's gone back to bin bags. And although I'm blessed with long sunny days, and these are classed as fine long sunny days, a little bit of wind doesn't go amiss on a sailing boat. I see some fishing boats in the distance, and after the fishing boats, nothing. Just flat seas, blue skies, and a burning sunshine coming down on me. Well, I'm halfway across the road now, and I'm in the centre section of the dual carriageway, and there's a ship coming. So it's time for me to put a little bit more north in my course. So I head up the centre of the dual carriageway. You can see the ship on my starboard side there. Here he is coming along. I put my turn in when he's fairly close to me, and then I head at him. He's doing 17, 18 knots, so I've got no chance of getting anywhere near him. Once across the carriageway, I've got Cornwall directly in front of me, heading towards Sennan Cove, and I'm going to turn to port and head up the Bristol Channel. The sea state is still flat calm. There's a little bit of a lump in it now, but then that's the tide moving quickly. All my favourable tide has all but gone, and I'm now beginning to book what is a hell of a ebb. I will punch this now all the way to St Ives, where I'll stop for a breather. I've put my foresail out just to see if there's any wind at all that I can collect, but there's nothing. Still, the iron sail pushes us on. I'm going just around the corner to moor the boat. There's a bit of a headland that sticks out, almost looks like an island, and you go around the other side of that and there's a small harbour which dries out. This is the headland bit that looks like a little island. It's not, it's still attached, but it just seems to be out on its own. Once in the bay, I drop my hook. There's lots and lots going on. The beaches are very busy, the water's got sports going on it, and the whole place seems alive. There's one more yacht here moored. Another boat arrives later on, but then he goes into the harbour when it fills up with water, which means he'll dry out, so he won't be going anywhere soon. Well, it seems so nice here. I think we'll spend the day. Well, it's just after 2 now, and I started at 5:30, and that's no record crossing. Starting here at the Scillies at St Mary's and coming out. I was here on the pavement at 8:15 waiting to cross the road to the other side. You can see that my course zigzagged across the traffic separation scheme before finally taking me all the way up here into St Ives. Well, it wasn't hard to fall asleep here, especially after a beer. What a night. Well, I got up okay. I got up at 4:30 to set off for 5 and I'm on time. The other boat that was in the anchorage, they went about 4:30 just as I was getting up. As you leave the anchorage, there's a couple of rocks. There is a cardinal buoy out there, hiding away. That's him ahead of us. He protects you from a couple of rocks which are inshore. It's low water now, so you can actually see the rocks, but as the water covers them, then they become a proper danger. Travelling this coastline, the biggest thing you have to avoid is lobster pots. When you get up towards Padstow, there's quite a few rocks which are quite far out. They're almost little islands, they're that big, the rocks. They're easy to avoid though, and you pick your path between them. I'm often tempted, because there looks plenty of room to cut between the rocks and the land. And I think, well, there's a lot of lobster pots there anyway to contend with, so I'll leave it for the fishing boat guys. The lighthouse is conspicuous on Trevose Head, so that's good. And further along you can actually see there's a couple of islands that you've got to go on the inside of. You can go around the last one and then go in, but the easiest thing to do is head for that little spike on the hill. Can you see it at the top? That's it there. Don't know what it's called, I just know the hill's stepper point. There's a couple of rocks and a load of lobster pots to avoid on the way in. But once you're in, the channel's marked, which makes life dead easy. Stay within the channel marks and you can't go far wrong. And just behind that green hill ahead of us, Padstow will appear. Once in the dock, it's only minutes before we're tied up to Magic Dragon, which just happens to be a North Wales boat on its way down south. This is the way in from Seaward. You come round this dock wall, and over here there's a waiting pontoon if the gates are closed. Just tie up here and wait for the gates to open. The opposite side is a tidal dock which the fishermen choose to use. Over the other side of the river, which is the River Camel, there is rock where Cornish crabbers are the home of. There is quite a good service backwards and forwards by ferry. If you've been watching, you know that I've been having a bit of trouble taking water on. Well, this is the pump that's supposed to keep the bilge dry, and the magnets are stuck to the armature on the inside. So the pump's actually not much good anymore. It doesn't drive and it draws 10 amps when it's doing nothing as well. I'll have to get a new one replaced. Well, I've phoned round and I've come up with one.
as you can see.
Well, as usual, thanks very much for watching.
So,
and as soon as I've got the bilge pump fitted, I will start on the next video. Until then, unfortunately, I'm just going to have to live it up in the sunshine in Padstow.
Who need something quickly. Paid a little bit extra, and we're supposed to get it now for before 12 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if all goes well, we can get it fitted and get on with our trip.